Now, each time you read a book in here, you get a different level of understanding. And if you take some of what you read in here and you apply it to some of the books in Psalm and the Book of Jobs, you'll see that metamorphosis is all about the transitioning from one phase in your life to the next. But with Ovid metamorphosis, they're using mythology as opposed to, Scientology, as opposed to religion, as opposed to the science. So I've been reading this book back and forth for the past 6 months. I would put it down and pick it back up. Have you guys ever read this one? Mildred, you are too funny. So I'm going to let you guys use the back of the book. And if you check out my Amazon store, you'll see this in my Amazon store too. But yeah, this is a good book that I've been reading off and on. So book 3 consists of 6 main stories with a 7th inserted within the 6th. Let me know if you caught that drift. Now each story is distinct in its content and literary tone, but in all 6 we can detect an underlying theme in the idea of intrusion, or seeing the forbidding wholly, followed by unhappy, even violent consequences. In the 4 major tales note, also descriptions of natural surroundings which are more than purely decorative. They suggest that elemental forces in nature are at work. So a lot of things you guys experience today are elemental forces in nature that were at work. Whether it was due to outside circumstances beyond your control, or whether you were the one controlling those elemental forces. The story of Tiresias is, let's see, also told in a light-hearted context. Even the blindness inflicted by the slighted Juno is grossly unfair. This is one of my favorite books. For those who love academia, Penguin Classics are my favorite. Right. So the poor Phoenicians, whether they drew their swords or attempted flight or stood stock still in terror, the monster was on them to crunch them up with his fangs and crush in his strangling coils. Sometimes these metaphors get way too gruesome that it's absolutely amazing to know the in-depth study of the metaphors that are at play within these books, within the context. You know, we have a lot of people in this world who can't read, yet alone, you know, they can act things out, yes, but they can't read. So what we'll do is we'll take it and we'll downgrade the literature for them to be able to act it out. But I definitely love to keep the science pure. So when the science become impure, it's because someone who does not have that surmount of education, they'll sully the purification of the literature, so to say. And that's very intriguing that I said sully. I'm just turning through some of the pages because I love reading the metaphors. Here's one I really like that just called out to me. My pain is the more since we're not divided by the stretches of ocean, unending roads, but mountains or walls with impassable gates. So I'm just letting you guys read for yourself. And not a lot of people love going through a metamorphosis. You know, they only change for what benefits them. So as long as you're changing to upgrade yourself and not downgrade yourself, if you're changing to downgrade, then it's something that God did not ordain. And if you're changing to upgrade in your life, then it was definitely sent from the highest good, from the Most High. But again, if you're going through a metamorphosis and it's a downgrade, it's definitely something that God did not send, God did not ordain. Now, if it's something that's going to upgrade you via mind, body, and soul, then it's definitely something that the Most High sent to you. Now, if you find yourself in the same situation, say for over the past, 20 days or the past 20 weeks or the past 20 months, and some people over the past 20 years, if you found yourself in certain situations like that and you have seen no change, then it's all about the environment. You know, as much as you want to change your headspace about it, it's not the headspace, it's the environment. So the reason why you're not seeing any change is not because of you, it's because of the environment isn't conducive. The town you live in, the state you live in. The job that you're working, the family that you're used to being around, the friends, old friends, old lovers, all of that will keep you bound and stuck in a certain headspace. And you're wondering why God hasn't made any changes is because it's not conducive to where God can create. A lot of people try to block your heaven, and your heaven is all about being at a state of mind. You know, naturally, we are at peace within ourselves. Whenever you're not naturally at peace, it's not because of you, it's because of what's out of you. Now, it's up to you to be, in that state of peace of mind so that you are knowing how to respond to what is being called on the outside, as we call it in the psych ward or in our psychology, reactionary responses, startled responses as well. Never try to stay bound to a world stuck in duality. Always release what's keeping you in duality, in a dual mindset. When you remove what's keeping you in a dual mindset, you'll see that space. You'll have that space for new blessings, new ways of doing, new ways of thinking, new ways of feeling, new ways of, you know, being naturally. Again, naturally, you are at peace. But it's when you come in contact with certain people, places, and things that rub you the wrong way. A lot of people not ready for them to change. They're quite stuck in their old ways. And old ways don't open new doors. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins. You know, God says, speak to the mountain. All he said was speak to the mountain. If you speak to the mountain will move. He didn't say try to move it. He didn't say try to push it. All he said was speak. What is speak? What is the meaning of speak? That's a command, right? What are you commanding? Are you speaking life or are you speaking death? You know, Life is in the power of the tongue, death as well. So are we creating or are we destroying? Through creation, something always gets destroyed, right? Oh, no problem. Thank you for asking me to come back on. Much love.